Hello.
Hello, Skvader. Hello. I can hear you, Dr. Tronic, but I can't quite hear Skvader.
I also can't hear Skvader.
Sorry?
I also can't hear Skvader.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. I'm sure we'll get things figured out in a moment. But in the meantime, I was going to start with you on the interview anyway, so I'll go ahead. I did download the game as well to get that started. So I'll pause the background music and we'll get into the game. So, starting out here, what was your inspiration behind this particular game?
Well, inspiration is... It's in Skvader's universe, so there's definitely much inspiration from that. And also we talked about Skvader's universe in streams before, so this was already on my mind. And with the theme, You're Not the Hero, my first thought was, what if you just produce stuff in this universe instead of actively participating in it? And that's how I got the idea of you being a Secondist industry worker.
Yeah, nice. Because I remember that I think Skvader was the first to mention that he was working in participating in the Board Pixels Jam, and that you mentioned like, oh yeah, maybe I want to participate in that too, and then you were able to sort of work together in the universe that Skvader had created for previous games.
Yeah.
So let me just see here. Factory will be completely automated. Robot will take care of all the orders. Today we'll calibrate them. Okay. All right. I should probably read the controls. But let me also go ahead and drop the link to this game in chat so that people can try it out. So WSD movements, pickup is E, throw with left mouse button. Okay. So we'll move on to the next question, then, which is, what was your development process like for this game?
The development process was, first when the jam started, I messaged my friend Apfel because I wanted him on my team. And then I explained to him like the whole universe and stuff, and we got to talk about how would the universe work. After I convinced him to join my team, we played the game Sector Sweep from Skvader to get more ideas for the game, like what stuff you would produce when you're Secondist. After we got done with that, like playing the game, getting some ideas, we came up with some story and the gameplay loop, like you create stuff, how that would work with the machines. And then we assigned roles, like who would do what. I assigned myself as the artist and Apfel got the role of coding stuff. Yeah, then during the entire development process, I asked Skvader about all stuff, like every time I came up with some story, I asked Skvader if that would even make sense in his universe. And Skvader also gave me some music that would describe the feel of Sekamis and the color theme of Sekamis and so on, so stuff I could reference while developing the game. So that was kind of the whole development process, like a back and forth, sharing my ideas with Skvader and he then saying how that would fit in the game or in the universe.
Nice. Sorry, I did see the comment from FL about turning screen shake on, but I tend to get a little bit nauseous when screen shake is on, so I specifically turned it off. I hope it's okay. But yeah, so you sort of answered one of my questions already, which is that yeah, you were handling the art in the game, and then Apfel was doing the development side of things. So how did you coordinate? Like, did you like create some temporary art assets, or did you like? Yeah, can you walk me through a bit how that went?
I just started like creating the real art from the get-go, and Apfel used the Unity like forms that come pre, like the basic square, hexagon, and used that to prototype stuff.
Nice. Okay. And then at yeah, Zero Guana is commenting that this game gives classic Gundam vibes. And yeah, I see what you mean, DeGrand. I can imagine having a time limit. Did you consider a time limit for the game?
We considered it, but because it's a jam game and probably most people won't spend much time on it, we didn't want the players to fail because it's a story game.
Mhm.
So we just chose the option of the player can't fail, so he can just enjoy the story.
So, why is it that E is pick things up, but left mouse click is throw?
I don't know. That's just the controls. You can also drop stuff with E. You don't
Right.
have to throw.
Okay, I guess I was just sort of expecting that it left click would pick things up and throw them if you're holding something, but I guess if you have a drop, then yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was made that way for any particular reason.
No reason really.
All right. Well, I see like the Skvader just muted and unmuted, but I don't know. We still can't hear you. We'll move on with the questions for Dr. Tonic then. Can you recommend a useful shortcut or a clever hack in the Unity engine that would be helpful to others?
I don't think we used any shortcuts here. Well, I don't really have any shortcut in mind yet.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Maybe Apfel has a shortcut, he's in chat.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a suggestion, Apfel, you please post it in chat and I'll mention it, I'll read it out on the stream. But how about for the art side of things then? I think I saw some mention on the Discord that you gave this character treads so you didn't have to animate a walk cycle.
Yes, that's definitely a short hack. Just tank tracks, you don't have to animate that, and they still look fine. And also, if you don't want to animate stuff because of time limit, wobble, stretch and stuff, that also looks fine, and you don't have to make more sprites. Like all the machines just wobble instead of having more sprites to animate stuff.
Absolutely.
And it still looks really good.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. I definitely I created a whole asset on the Unity store just entirely around the idea of giving things easy squash and stretch. All right. So okay, Apfel does not have any shortcuts to add. That's totally fine. So Zero Guan is asking, what is written on this little pixel poster?
On this pixel poster is a Sakamas Industry. That's like the small scaled down version of the big poster that we didn't end up using.
I see. All right. So let's see. Show me if you're worth something and make 2 attack Roombas now. All right. Well, I thought this one was the attack Roomba, but now you're asking for C4? Well, I'm going with what's on the picture. All right. So if anyone else has any questions they'd like to ask from chat, please go ahead and post them now. But otherwise, was there any like shoutouts or other projects that you'd like to promote at this time?
Not really. Okay.
Well, how about this? Is there anything else about the game, any other like trivia or information that you think would be fun for people to know about?
I couldn't think of any right now. I don't think there's any trivia you have to know. I think the game tells everything you need to know.
Yeah, I'm more sort of thinking about like fun development things that you might not know unless you were one of the development team. Like every once in a while I find like small references I hide in things, or inspirations that come from, like, again, it's just these little things that you wouldn't know unless you were one of the developers.
Well, I guess the closest thing to that would be that one of the news is completely inspired by the game Skvader made.
All right. Well, I guess the game is kind of a bit of a longer form sort of thing, so I'm not necessarily going to be able to play through the entirety of it right now. But I hope that it's at least given people an idea of what they can expect if they want to try it themselves. I guess. So other than like following the instructions, is there a mechanic in the game? Like, I'm assuming you were going to get new factory sort of assembly machines on the top and bottom corners here. Is there more to the game to see aside from that?
Yes, there's a story and a real ending.
Oh, okay.
So the game escalates a bit, and then, well, you can see what happens then. It's kind of a spoiler if I tell.
Okay, well, yeah, you don't have to tell me, but
Also,
is there...
by the way, you don't have to throw like at close range. You can just drop it down.
Okay, okay, that definitely helps. So is there... I don't know, I guess maybe I'll see if I get to start the next day. Oh boy. Okay. Is the throw just to like go faster, or is there...
Well, the throw goes across the entire factory. So you just, if you don't want to move.
Okay, whoops. It's down. I appreciate that you have the little arrows that indicate what you can potentially be aiming for in that direction. That's a really good touch on the UI. Okay. So, Sakarmas has successfully taken out multiple outposts. Air raid efficiency has gone up with the newly established production line. Lieutenant Jobson has shown great leadership and will continue the air raids. It is still unknown if these raids will meet retaliation. Ooh. Has there been news stories that I've just been clicking past by mistake this whole time?
I don't know.
Like, was there a news post for every single day of the week?
Yeah, there's a news post every single week, every single day.
Okay, I might not have read all of them in that case. That's my bad. I appreciate the comment, Zeragona. Very safe factory. Engine flying through the room. Oh, I see. Oh, we got multiple orders coming in. I don't know, I just, even if you don't strictly have to throw something, I kind of automatically... you know, you give me a throw mechanic, I want to use it. So, I appreciate that you don't have to do it, though. Like, if you want to just sort of stand here and throw things... Alright, well, I guess I don't have any more questions right now, so let's see if we ever got the mic situation figured out. Skvader? Any luck on your end? Seems like we still can't hear you. So, okay, maybe... you've already got the questions that I was going to ask. Perhaps you can post them in the chat, and I'll just read them out on the stream. Sorry that we couldn't do an interview over audio. But yeah, otherwise... oh, wait, yes? Hello.
Testing.
Yes,
Hey,
we can hear you.
Okay, nice.
Okay, perfect timing.
Finally. I apparently accidentally pressed the mute button.
Okay, no problem. Well, I'm going to move on to your game now, and I guess, Dr. Tronik, if you can hang around to the point where we sort of do the extra questions at the end. Even if you just stay muted unless you want to mention something. But I will move on to Skvader's game. I'm sorry I couldn't play all the way through this one, but yeah, I'll sort of get to general thoughts on the games towards the end. But for now, I'll just keep the interview going. Skvader, perhaps you can tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind your game ShellShock.
A lot of people want to say that it looks like Angry Birds, which they're kind of right because I did get some inspiration from Angry Birds, but also I got a lot of inspiration from a Flash game called City Siege. That was great
Mr.
fun.
Jobson,
Like in the
we are proud to
back
say
of
that
the
you are
day when
now
I
an
used to
official
play it on my old
user
laptop.
in our corporation. This
Very
enormous
destructible
corporation
terrain and
awaits you
all
with
that
open
stuff.
arms.
So
Mhm.
most of the games that
Right
have
now,
destructible
Mr. Jobson,
terrain and
you should not run for
explosions.
your life. You will be stationed behind friendly lines.
Yeah, I
You
just
should
started
turn
the
your
game, and of
tailgates
course,
when
this
you
is
expect any reports of mistreatment
the
and
line of
will launch an
dialogue that
investigation
I
into you.
recorded for
Use
you.
artillery with
So
caution and double-check the
it's weird to
positioning of
hear my own
components
voice
and
being
where you
played
are
back like
firing.
this.
Wear protective headgear and ensure
Yeah,
the
I
safety
think
of your men
you did
first.
a
Take
really good
prisoners
job.
when
I mean, a
possible.
lot of people said, "Oh,
We
this
wish you
sounds so
luck.
good."
This enormous corporation will help us all.
Well, thank you so much.
Lieutenant Colonel W. Fitzgerald.
Well, thank you
Uh,
for voicing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see. We'll move on to message 2
Hello,
here.
Mr. Jobson. I'm the owner of the Xerox 1 factory, 09 factory, etc. I will be supplying you with the
Yeah, I
explosives
also
for your
I
cannons.
had to
So this
use
is not the
Dr.
last time
Tronic's
that you
voice
will hear
because,
from me. Due to you
you
being
know,
a
just
fresh-faced
so
officer
I
here,
need to
I'm
find
only
some
allowed
voice
to send you
actors
the
because
playing
it will
sides.
be very
I
strange
have no need to explain
if the
it more
first
than
message
well.
was voiced and the second one wasn't.
The
So
Secondus Corporation will
that will
help us
lead to
all.
some confusion.
Mhm. All right, so I remember the message. Well, I remember the message from that first one, and then here's the second one. So now, as for the actual controls of the game, though, I should pull that up here, and I'll also paste the link in chat in case anyone else would like to play along. So WSD is to move the camera, mouse is to fire, and then R is restart, and then the number keys to select bomb. Okay, so I can sort of pan the view around like this, and I guess my objective is to take out the guys that I see here. So, oh boy. Well, okay, that was surprisingly effective. I thought I would need like one shot, one kill, but that seemed to do the trick. All right. So, yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about the um, development process for the game?
Okay, so first when I saw the team, I wanted to incorporate the team into my universe because, well, every game has to have a story, in my opinion. And so I was like, what kind of corporation will we play? And I thought that the Secondus Corporation didn't get enough love, so I gave them some screen time. And then I started think about an idea. I actually thought up of the same idea that Tronic did, but I did not have the plan of how to make it, like how to make factories and all that side and all those things. And I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I thought up of bombing things because, well, that is the most unethical thing that I could think of.
Mhm.
And yeah, it progressed from there. I first drew the mines and the ability to throw the mines, explosions, sorry. And I drew some physics objects, and now there was a lot of trouble of making the terrain explode because, well, because it was a very technical, but I guess that, but then I just made everything go physicsy and buggy. So I stick to that, and through the whole team, I was struggling to how can I make the missions, how can you win them? Because I was like, hmm, but a how about you need to get that amount of score to win? But then,
Mhm.
as you know, the score didn't work because well, G developed, and so I just and Tronic gave me idea of like making generators and such to break, and when you break them, that cuts off the power supply of the outpost, and you win.
Hmm.
But that didn't sound very interesting to me. And and then I was like, and then when I started designing the levels, I was like, why don't I just make uh the levels winnable by killing all of the people on there? And that worked fine. So I just stuck to that. And of course, I later asked you for the voice acting and such.
Yeah. Yeah. So was that something you were implementing sort of towards the end?
Yeah. At first, the enemies were supposed to like have stance, like they were scared, they were, you know, they had some emotion, but I didn't know how to animate them, so I just chose to let them be just static people, just standing there, like there's an explosion in front of them. I'm like, oh, cool, and yeah, yeah, that's how I turn out the enemies.
Yeah. So they just they just kind of await their fate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it works though. Um,
No one
s-
complained about it so far, so I think that's a positive.
yeah, absolutely. I think that there's an understanding that like in a game like this, you're not. Oh, I forgot can pan the camera around. But yeah, I don't
You,
think there's.
you can pen the camera down with the S button.
Oh, right. Okay, that's what I forgot. But I don't think I'm going to have enough drones to clear this mission.
You won't.
Uh, all right. Well,
Yeah, a lot of people
so
had trouble on this level.
yeah, I see how they sort of like move around. So one here, two here, three, four, or maybe yeah. Well, let's see if I can get all three of these guys or just two of them. I guess because this drone behaves a little differently to the other things the players encountered so far.
Yeah, they got used to the missiles, and
Hmm.
they're like, "Wow, this drone thing is strange." You know, I probably should have made a better level, like a tutorial level for the drones, but I was in a rush. It was like
Yeah, of
was like
course.
5 a.m. in the morning.
Um, has this happened before where you launch a drone and it doesn't show up?
Yes, that does happen. It's because I this is I think this is it because it's too close to the wall where you set the drone to. It's too close to the wall, and because the wall is impassable, he will go like, I can't go there, and he will just stand in place. But you'll lose a drone. So I couldn't figure out how to make you not lose a drone.
Hmm. All right. Well,
So
at
just pray
least
that people will not see it as a huge problem,
yeah,
and
it
people saw it
worked out.
as a huge problem, so failed.
Yeah, I think we're all good. Especially because I had what seemed like more than enough drones to finish the level.
Yeah.
So, um, do you have a useful shortcut or a clever hack that you found out about in this game, or possibly that you've begun learning about in Godot?
Um. Um. No, I mean, the physics were just built-in physics. I didn't use any like trick shortcuts. I just used the most for the things I didn't know how to add. I just made them in the most crude way possible.
Hmm.
I wish I used some oh this cutting edge, like new technique of doing things simply. But no, I just used common sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with going with what works. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Well, are there any shout outs to other people or projects that you'd like to mention at this time?
Dr. Tronic's game, Secustry or Secustry, however, whatever.
Oh my goodness, that's a highly effective weapon. Um, but how much more is of the game is there to see after this
Uh,
level?
After this, one more level, and that's
Okay.
it.
Well, I can
I
probably I'll keep this up while I ask the sort of next questions to both you and Dr. Tronic. Oh yeah, so this is where you really get the full arsenal to use. I'm going to see how efficient I can be, but I will go ahead and so I'll start with asking you then. Can you talk a little bit about the shared universe that you've set your games in?
Like how they make up this universe.
Yeah. Let's get into the sort of background about it.
Well, the first time that I thought up this universe was for a unfinished game back in the day when I used Clicked Infusion. It was supposed to be like a 2D physics shooter, like Contra or Intrusion 2. And I was like, what can I make this story? I wanted to use a corporation. And I was like, how can I do that? How can I do that? And so I just set the main player in the Quantum Corporation research facility, which is like discount Black Mesa. And I was like, but who can attack? I didn't want a government force or a mercenary force. I actually didn't. I don't like those types of things, like people being unethical just for money. I mean, that's true, but like I kind of don't like that. I wanted to make a universe where the biggest wars are held by corporations and not proper armies. And so I thought up of the Aurora Corporation, and then I realized that the Aurora Corporation name was already used. I was like, come on. So I was like, how can I name it? So I chose Stellar X, and I thought it was quite stupid, so I changed it to Sekarmis Corporation. So the bad guy was the Sekarmis Corporation. And I was like, I got quite a good story on my hands. And I wanted to expand it more. So in my next game, for my Ludum Dare 47 game, Loop Wave, I just made up a story. I was like, what universe can I make this canon? So I made it canon to my universe about the corporations and such. It was a very, very stupid story. Like, doesn't make sense really. But it's fine, I guess. And so on Ludum Dare 48, I was like, how can I make to what universe can I make this game? Of course, to the corporation again. So I chose the same thing again. But this time I don't want it to be stupid, and I wanted to make a game about the war between the two companies. So I chose the drones and such. You probably know the story from this description. And there is way more story to this than just that. I wrote way more. And then we get to ShellShock, where Tronic asked me if he can make a game about this universe, and of course I said yes, because I like sharing universes.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. So at that point, I'll ask Dr. Tronic, what was your experience like working with someone else's universe as a setting?
I think it was really cool. Like, I could take inspiration from stuff that's already there. The story kind of wrote itself, in my eyes. So it's interesting to just ask questions about a universe that's already there. Kind of figure out what could I do as a game version about that universe.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like you had a overall positive experience. Would you say that you're looking forward to doing something like this once again, or do you think you're going to try and create maybe your own universe to set your own stories in?
I definitely want my own universe now. I think that could be really cool.
Well, I guess I'll turn the question over to Skvader then. Would you be excited about making a game in someone else's, either Dr. Tronic's or just anyone else's shared universe, or do you think you'd want to continue working in your own?
Both. I want to work in another person's universe and to work on my universe, because I find it very fun too. Because I love stories in games. Like, however, like if the game doesn't really need a story, I add a story because I like storytelling, even though I'm not a very good writer.
Well, I think that the way you get better at these things is just through practice. So don't write yourself off.
for me, this was the first time that I wrote a story for a game. All my other games didn't have stories before. So it was a new experience for me too.
Nice. So in that sense, would you say that like having the established universe to work in was like a good foundation for you to get started with the writing process?
Definitely. Like, first time writing a story and having an already established universe definitely helped with that. I don't think I would have come up with a story this complex with, like, nothing. So, thanks to Skvader for that.
No problem, Tronic.
Yeah, I mean it's effectively what it like the best kind of fan fiction is something that like when you're actually working together with the author of the universe, you're not just taking creative liberties, but you're actually getting to participate and feel like you're contributing to a real sort of a thing that's bigger than just whatever you came up with in your own mind. But yeah, so let's see. Finally, I will ask both of you how it was working together, and like what was your process of collaboration? Like Dr. Tronic, you mentioned sometimes you had some questions and you were just communicating over Discord for the most part.
Yeah, we wrote like the entire week, every day, shared our progress and stuff. So it was really fun.
Yeah, whenever we go to sleep, we're like, "Hey Tronic, hey Skvader, how are you doing in the game?" Like, "Oh, I'm doing fine. I added this. Oh, cool, I added that." And we just talked about for like I was supposed to go to sleep at 3 a.m. and we talked about to 4 a.m. So it's
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Like 1 hour trying to figure out how to make videos in OBS to share over Discord.
that was a mess.
So were you actually like doing screen shares, or were you just like messaging each other over Discord?
We were messaging, but we also took screenshots and screen recordings.
Mhm.
Like I did some screen recordings before, but everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Like OBS didn't export to MP4. The file size was too big. I didn't know where the videos were, so I just deleted some. Some videos didn't have audio. Some lagged too much. Like everything went wrong. So it took me about
Yes.
like an hour to get all that done. But I did.
Well, I'm sorry that it was posing such an obstacle. It's enough work to make a game, let alone try to do the documentation process along the same time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I'll sort of mention my feedback on each game individually. But in the meantime, if anyone else has any questions in the chat they would like to ask to either Skvader or Dr. Tronic, please take the opportunity to post it. So I guess with regards to, need to open up Firefox, please. There we go. Wait, do I not have? Oh, right. Okay. Okay. This is the Firefox tab I was trying to open. Okay. So with regards to Secustry, the game that I'm playing right now, I guess I don't know if I just because the game sort of most readily reminds me of a sort of like cooking ingredients type game, even though it is set in a weapons factory. It naturally makes me think that a time limit would have been well suited to adding a layer of challenge to the game, because right now it doesn't seem like there is a way to fail, at least not yet. I don't know. Does that change at any point?
Well, failing isn't really an option, but it does get a lot more intense.
Right. Are you I know that you both said that you weren't planning on continuing your development of the game, but is there what do you think about the idea of adding a time limit to this game?
I don't know. That would take some time to balance, so it's not too hard. But I guess if you fail, they should just restart. I don't know, would be something to think about, right? But I don't think we would add that.
I mean, is there something else that you had in mind as a possible failure state for the game?
Not really. The
Okay,
game
so-
turned out like we planned.
Okay, so it's always just a sort of incremental progress type thing? Like, I don't know, if there is a way to fail the game that I'm not yet aware of, is it like something that shows up in one of the later days, or is it just not a game that you're really meant to be able to fail?
Well, technically there is the ending fail, but yeah, that's story.
Okay, yeah,
that's
sort
driven.
of, yeah, and potentially spoilerish as well. All right. Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think it would be fun if there were some situation in which you had to use the throw and it wasn't just a shortcut. Like maybe there's a machine on the far side of a conveyor belt that you have to like throw something over so that it'll land and produce something else. I think there's definitely a lot of ways that you could take the mechanics of the game and, you know, I don't want to say make a clone of Overcooked because I don't actually like Overcooked very much. I think that it's kind of an exercise in frustration. So
The fun
I'd
thing
love to
is
see.
the game.
Sorry?
The fun thing is the gameplay was inspired by Overcooked, even though I didn't like Overcooked.
Oh, let's see. That's exactly the kind of trivia that I would have wanted to hear about when I was originally asking, but I'm glad that you got to mention that. But yeah, I think that I would love to see how you could expand on these mechanics to make something. If you were interested, I know you said you're not developing this particular game further, but if you wanted to take these mechanics and make something else related to it, something that is not as like deliberately player hostile as Overcooked, but maybe something that is still incorporating some of the same mechanics. But yeah, I think that's about all the feedback that I have for now. I always end up thinking of like something else to say right at the end, like after the stream is over, and then it's the first comment that I make. But meantime, for Skvader for this game, for ShellShock, just because it is possible to clear the different levels without using all of your munitions, I know that you said that the scoring wasn't working. And I think it's a great compromise that you clear the level by killing all the guys. But I think it would be fun to see like different victory conditions based on how many or how few of the munitions you end up using. Was that sort of originally your plan?
No, I never thought of that. My scoring was supposed to be based on destruction, how many blocks you destroyed. Because my plan originally was not to kill everyone in the base. It was to deal the most destruction as you can. But like when I was designing the first level, I just made it that you had to kill everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, it was too late to introduce a scoring feature. Like you wasted this many mines, so good job.
Mm-hmm.
It was too late, so I had to compromise.
Yeah, of course. But do you? So, right. The other idea that I had was potentially, you mentioned like in the voice recording that I gave, like, you know, take your time and aim at the enemy targets. Like I was wondering if there was some way that you could have like friendly forces infiltrating the base. That you have to make sure that you don't hit them and you do hit the enemy. So it could be like maybe not a fail state, but you like lose a lot of points if you end up hitting friendly forces.
I had a idea to make like a prison, like Half-Life 2 Nova
Mhm.
Prospect prison, like a big prison, and you had your own guys captured, and you can't bomb them. But I was too close to that deadline, so I was like, screw it, just make the game.
Mhm.
And I also did have the idea of like there are like spies in there that like not supposed to be killed, but it was once again way too late, and I just had to finish it as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
Although I think I will make something similar to that in ShellShock 2 if it ever comes up.
All right, sounds good. Other than that, I wonder, like, it could be nice to know if, like the drone that has the shrapnel, does it just fire shrapnel in completely random directions?
It fires in completely random directions.
Okay. And was there a reason that you made it random as opposed to like 8 cardinal directions?
No, I just made it random because YOLO, I guess. I don't know. I just made it random because no thinking.
Okay, that's fine. I just thought it would be a fun sort of tool that, like, the shrapnel drone, if it actually didn't create an explosion, but it very specifically fired in these like different directions, you have to think about how you can position it so that it hits, like, in the example of the picture that I'm looking at right now, if I deployed a shrapnel drone right here, then it would fire down and hit this guy, and it would fire to the right and hit this guy. Maybe it would even fire on a diagonal and hit this guy. So if I was trying to think about it from that perspective, it could be neat to sort of count on some level of consistency from which direction the shrapnel's firing in.
Yeah, you are totally right. You're totally right.
Well, as I said, it's just a suggestion for something that I happen to think of within the mechanics of the game that it would make the levels like even just a little bit more puzzle like. Obviously, they already kind of lean in that direction, but I just was wondering, like, okay, well, how can you take these mechanics and sort of push it even further in that way?
Yeah.
And so Zero Iguana is asking, this game, ShellShock was made in GDevelop, right? And
Yeah, GDevelop.
Sekarmus Tycoon, also known as Secustry, was made in Unity. All right. So I think that's about all the feedback that I have for both of the games. And yeah, I guess I'll take the opportunity to say thank you both to Skvader and Dr. Tonic for joining me on the stream here today. Any closing thoughts before we wrap things up?
No, just wanted to thank you for having us here. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, and likewise. So even though I restarted the game, unfortunately I still didn't get to the end of it. But once again, I will repost the links to both the games in chat, so if anyone wants to give it a try. But yeah, thank you both once again, and have a good evening. Hopefully I'll see you in the chat as we continue tonight's stream.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, talk to you
Then
later then. Bye-bye.
goodbye. Or